Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. After essentially doing nothing, frankly, to encourage vaccinations and even encouraging anti-vaccine sentiment and forces, Republican officials across the country are now dealing with the Delta variant wreaking havoc across their states, wreaking havoc across all states. Because, of course, COVID did not go anywhere. The variant is highly transmissible and a lot of people are unvaccinated. And together that spells a bad situation. And it's not a good situation for anyone. It's obviously a human tragedy. You may have seen this report from a doctor in Alabama earlier this week that sent chills up my spine. She writes, quote, "I'm admitting young, healthy people to the hospital with very serious COVID infections. One of the last things they do before they're intubated is beg me for the vaccine. I hold their hand and tell them that I'm sorry, but it's too late." Alabama right now ranks last in the nation in vaccinations, just 34% of its population fully vaccinated. Cases and hospitalizations are surging yet again across the state, thanks to the Delta variant. You can see those upticks there on the right of your screen. And Republican officials who thought they could just kind of sit back and let the Biden administration handle the vaccination push and flirt with the anti-vaccine sentiments in their political base are now trying to get another outbreak under control. And let's be clear, outbreaks are bad for their states. They're bad for any state, Republican or Democrat. They're bad for people, of course, who get sick and die. They are bad for hospitals that get overrun and stretched to a breaking point. And they're bad for business. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. When a COVID outbreak gets bad, no matter what government policy is, even in states that keep stuff open, people stop doing things. They stop driving around. They stop going out to eat. Tourists stop visiting. And so this is the conundrum Republican Governor Kay Ivey of Alabama now finds herself in. Now, 2 months ago, Governor Ivey signed a bill banning both public institutions and private businesses in Alabama from requiring vaccines. Now, she is blaming the unvaccinated for the state's plight.
Governor, you talk about, the vaccine saving lives, but Alabama still is last in the country when it comes to vaccination rates. Besides, this emotional plea you just gave us, what is it going to take to get people to get shots in arms?
I don't know. You tell me. Folks supposed to have common sense. But it's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks. It's the unvaccinated folks that are letting us down.
But as a leader of the state, don't you think it's your responsibility to try and help get this situation under control?
I've done all I know how to do. I can encourage you to do something, but I can't make you take care of yourself.
Now, I've been spending a lot of time on this program and as a reporter just trying to think about and research how to get unvaccinated people vaccinated. And let's be clear, there's a million different reasons people are not vaccinated yet. It's not some one reason. It's not because people like Donald Trump or they have conservative politics. Runs the gamut. That said, I'm not sure that the Kay Ivey guilt trip method is the way to go. Now, there is one fairly obvious and straightforward path. Not a legal requirement from the government, but rather for various institutions, venues, and employers to require their people to get vaccinated. That has not happened much yet, but we are already seeing a preemptive push against that from the right. For weeks and months, we've seen this. People balking at the idea of being forced to do anything. We even heard that in that amazing clip that we showed you last night from a Louisiana man in the hospital recovering from COVID.
Before you got sick, if you would have had a chance to get the vaccine and prevent this, would you have taken the vaccine? Nope. So you'd have gone through this?
I'd have gone through this, yes, sir. Don't shove it down my throat. That's what's local, state, federal administration is trying to do, is shove it down your throat.
What are they shoving, the science?
No, they're shoving the fact that that's their agenda. The agenda is to get you vaccinated.
I don't want to get vaccinated because you want me to get vaccinated is the argument there. It's your agenda to get me vaccinated, ergo I don't want to. Don't shove it down my throat. Now, it may be hard to believe, but we've actually been here before, something pretty similar. It was nearly 40 years ago. A fight like this one happened in this country about requiring a public health measure that would save lives. And conservatives across the country fought against it, and they lost, thank goodness. They lost that battle so thoroughly and completely, you may not remember how huge of a fight it was at the time.
Every morning, 365 days a year, most everybody in Richland Village, Michigan, gathers at the Parkview to talk about the burning issues of the day. These days, there is only one:
I think everybody's in too much shock to explain it.
It is the new seatbelt ordinance. If the town council gets its way, seatbelts will be mandatory for everybody riding in the front seat of a car through Richland.
I'll have to detour the town to get to Kalamazoo. If they pass a seatbelt ordinance where I don't use a seatbelt.
I wouldn't wear my seatbelt. If I get caught, I get caught, I guess.
The Richland Village Council meets one night each month, and hardly anyone but the council ever attends these meetings, which may be why so many people were so shocked when they read in a local paper that the council had unanimously requested an ordinance the community is almost unanimously opposed to. For such a small town, 1 mile square, 435 people, Richland gets lots of traffic, though nobody can remember the last time there was a serious accident. But if everybody has to buckle up or pay a $10 fine, businessmen say they'll stop and shop and get their haircut somewhere else. Customers agree.
You maybe stop there, don't put your seatbelt on, and you move a little bit further up. I stop here by him, then I move around the corner quick to go to the hardware store, and I don't have the seatbelt on. All of a sudden somebody sees me, says it cost you $10. Why bother?
I think many of them are mad enough about it so that they're not going to run the risk of a ticket.
Meanwhile, the town council is standing by its guns.
People think that they're going to be harassed, and this is not our intent at all.
Their intent, they say, is to save lives and set a good example. There's an election here in March. By then, the town's 2 police officers will likely be enforcing a new seatbelt ordinance. After then, there might be a new city council.
Now, doesn't all that sound familiar? I mean, I feel like I have heard that same interview, but about masks and vaccines, maybe even in the state of Michigan. How dare you tell me what to do? The month after that report of March 1984, Richland Village voted the seatbelt ordinance down, 145 to 51. They were overruled by a Michigan state law the following year, and eventually 49 states in the union passed laws mandating seatbelts. But across country, there was a faction of people who resisted. Under no circumstances did they want to be required to wear a seatbelt.
I oppose it on the basis that it replaces the free will of the individual with the desires of the state.
You can't force people to do things, you know. If they think that it's necessary, they'll do it. If they don't think so.
The question here is whether we have the right, whether we have the responsibility, whether we have the judgment to turn to the citizens of this state and be their, in 1984, big brother.
In fact, I actually just recently learned something from my dad's sister, about my departed grandfather, a man I loved very, very much. Roger Hayes, nicknamed the Bear. He was an airline pilot his whole life, an absolute committed conservative, staunch Republican, devout Catholic, went to mass every day, incredibly pro-life, hated communism, really hated Big Brother and the government, and I just learned from my aunt, refused to wear a seatbelt out of a kind of ideological commitment to personal autonomy until it became the law. And then you know what he did? He buckled up. A lot of people did that once they were forced to. They just kind of sucked it up and did it. Stopped being a debate. And what happened was a lot of lives got saved. This chart shows the drop in the rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled since 1980. The first mandatory seatbelt law was passed in New York in 1984. Now, again, in this circumstance, I don't think the government, like states, should be requiring vaccines right now, just because I think that is likely to create as much backlash as it does compliance. But instead, what we're seeing is states doing the opposite. I mean, several Republican-run states have stepped in to ban private entities from requiring vaccines. In addition to Alabama, as I mentioned earlier, those bans are in place in Florida and Iowa, Montana, and Texas. Florida's even trying to get the CDC to stop requiring cruise ships, of all things, to require vaccination. I mean, that's way, way, way more insane to me than telling municipalities they can't require their own drivers to buckle up. We also live in a different media environment in the year 2021, and to be honest, I do not know if the seatbelt debate would have gone the same way if Fox News was around in 1984. I mean, it probably would have been hosts on air every night urging people to drive around at 70 miles an hour without a seatbelt in the front seat because they had the freedom to launch their heads through windshields. And if they died that way, well, they died for freedom. Like soldiers on the battlefield, martyrs to the cause of freedom, just like how Donald Trump told Americans to get out there and martyr themselves for freedom in the face of COVID. But what did happen with the seatbelt debate is that eventually both the law and the culture changed, and wearing your seatbelt became a norm, and people stopped fighting about it. Turned out that putting on a seatbelt was not the road to serfdom, not some enormous imposition, just kind of makes everyone safer, saves a lot of lives. Thank God that became the status quo. That should be what we are aiming here for as a precedent, a time when we are as protected as possible from COVID. Way few people are getting sick, way fewer people are dying, and we're not having these fights. And maybe one way to get there is for institutions, universities, venues, employers to simply say, we're going to require you to get vaccinated if you want to participate.